What's up, everybody? We're back with another patch notes breakdown, and this time it is the Season 11 mid-season 11.6 patch notes. But as a reminder, we are getting the 9.5 Revert as well, which will be making people, NPCs, towers, all that stuff less tanky. Make sure to go check out the other video for that. It was posted a couple days ago, but we are focusing specifically on the 11.6 update notes here today. And first and foremost, we're getting new skins for the Morgan, Danzanburo, Fenrir, Khepri, Sobek, Amaterasu, Kali, and Baron Samedi. All cross-gen skins, which is going to be pretty sick. Can't wait to see what they're going to look like in Smite 2, because they already have great card art in Smite 1. I can't imagine they're going to be bad. There's a few bug fixes, but let's start off with the major changes. First of all, Conquest, there's going to be a Spirit Totem Upgrade System. So we've had the Spirit Totems now for a while, where you could select which of the totems you wanted to have paired with your current buff. Now, each time it spawns, you're going to be able to upgrade an existing buff up to 3 times per match. So what this is going to look like is if you pick up the blue buff, it can scale from 10 to 12.5, then 15% CDR. For golden, you can get 5, 7, 10 plus 5% pin on the buff. For violet, or the purple buff, you're going to get 10, then 12.5, 15% attack speed. Red is going to give you 10, 12.5, and then 15% lifesteal and physical ability lifesteal. And then Verdant, the green buff, is going to give you 8, 10, and 12% max health and mana to add on to that. I mean, I think this is a nice little upgrade. I don't think this is exactly what people wanted from the mid-season, but I do like this change. I do think it will be impactful, especially with the 9.5 Revert that we know about now. I think it's going to be kind of insane. On the solo side, those back harpies, the fire giant side harpies no longer apply attack speed debuff. Shout out to Final K for that one. Because I know that somebody's complained about. In duel, all gods are now unbanned. So back to old school duel. See how that pans out. And then we're going to hop right into some items here. Eye of the Jungle is going to get a new effect. While in the jungle, you gain 3% movement speed, which I think is a good change for that item. I think the item is fairly good. I think it's kind of slept on, especially with Seer of the Jungle. So excited to see that. And then the big thing in this patch is sweeping changes to Tier 2 items. And this means a lot of Tier 2 items got new passives, which is kind of nice. So for instance, Bound Gauntlet, which builds into Soul Eater, has a new passive that your abilities heal for 4% of the damage dealt, and it now costs 1,250 gold instead of 1,050. Curse Gauntlet now builds into Crimson Claw's Bloodforge and Devourer's Gauntlet. It's going to cost 1,300 gold, so a 100 gold reduction there. And it's going to give you Lifesteal, is going to get bumped to 9%. Bloodforge is going to get decreased cost down by 100 gold to 2,500. Shortbow is going to get a decreased cost down to 100 gold now, 550 gold. Chargebow, they're going to decrease the cost to 1,200 gold difference there. That's pretty significant. Decrease the damage from 15 plus 30% of your basic attack power, now 5 plus 25% of your basic attack power. So I think this is good. And now we're going to have Hunter's Bow increase the cost by 50 gold. So it's going to be 1,250 now, and they're going to add 5 pin. I think this is going to feel good early on, is having that in that slot. I've been pretty big on Atalantis earlier this year. Like, hey, getting the flat pin early sometimes feel good, and you just sell it later. Now Stormseeker is going to take that slot. I think Stormseeker is going to be buildable this patch. They're going to increase the cost. It's going to be 2,100 gold now, but it's going to have an extra 5 physical power, so it's at 30, and it's going to have an added 10 flat pin. I think this item will be relevant now, especially with Stem Hunters, where you can go with Silver Branch. Keep your eyes out. I think Stormseeker is on the rise. Piercing Morningstar now builds into Heartseeker. Its passive is every 5 seconds. Your next ability is 2% of the target's max health as physical damage. It'll be 1,550 gold, 25 physical power, and 150 mana plus 10 MP5. Again, good little changes here on these Tier 2 items just to make them feel a little bit better as you're building into those Tier 3s. And that's pretty much what we're going to see across the board here. So Short Sword builds into Rage and Deathbringer. Its passive is when critically striking an enemy, gain stack of 5 physical power. Max is at 3 stacks for 5 seconds. 8-pointed Shuriken now builds into Demon Blade and Bladed Boomerang. It's going to be 1,300 gold with 20 physical power. Its passive is when damaging an enemy god with a basic attack, you gain 3% attack speed for 10 seconds. Max is 5 stacks. So again, this is one of those things where like you're kind of getting the mini passive of what the Tier 3 has. If you're kind of following along here. Thousandfold Blade now builds into Equinox, Hasten Katana, and Shadow Drinker. Its new passive is you gain 5 movement speed for 10 seconds on killing or assisting an enemy god. Swift Edge builds into Serrated Edge. Its passive is damaging an enemy god with an ability grants 3% movement speed toward them for 3 seconds. It stacks up to 3 times for 1,500 gold, 20 physical power, and 3 movement speed. And as you've noticed, they've kind of actually separated out some of the trees here, especially with this blade tree. So it's going to take a little bit of time. I know I had a really hard time when they moved Crusher and Titan's Bane. I kept building the wrong items there for a little bit. So keep an eye out when you're in the item store tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, but yeah, tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that because you might feel like muscle memory-wise that something's a little bit off, and it is. Balance Blade now builds into Executioner and Aussie. It has a new passive. On damaging enemy god with a basic attack, you gain 2 physical pin for 5 seconds. It stacks up to 3 times, and it's now going to cost 1,400 gold instead of 1,250. But Aussie is going to have decreased physical power by 5, so it's going to be 40 now, but added 10 flat pin to it. I think Aussie is going to be seen, especially with that Stormseeker build. Stormseeker, Silver Branch, Aussie. I could see it right there in my head right now. I think that's going to be a viable option of things built this coming week. Keen Blade now builds into kin size and duality, so they're actually separating that tree out. There comes the muscle memory bit for the store. Its passive is your basic attacks deal an additional 10% of your basic power and physical damage. 1,550 gold. It gives it to have 20 physical power and 15% attack speed. Shillelagh, a fun word to say and a fun item, builds in the Blackthorn Hammer. Its passive is while you're under 25% of your maximum mana, gain 20 MP5. It's going to be 1,100 gold, 15 physical power, and 100 health. Going to feel pretty good. Blackthorn Hammer is already popular. I think this makes building into Blackthorn Hammer even more popular in some ways. Heavy Hammer now builds into Frostbound Hammer. New passive, each time you basic attack an enemy god, gain a stack. When you have 4 stacks, your next basic attack damage slows the enemy god hit by 15% for 2 seconds. Additional slows applied from this item refresh the duration. The increased cost now 1,400 gold. Smithy's Hammer builds into Dawnbringer and Runeforge Hammer. 1,200 gold, 25 physical power, 100 health, and 100 MP5. Our magical damage items. Talon Trinket, it has a new passive. At each second you are in a god combat, gain 1 magical power and 1% lifesteal for 5 seconds, max to 20 stacks. Decrease magical power from 55 to 45. Decrease lifesteal from 7.5 to 5%. I think this is still going to be kind of insane. This is going to feel really, really good to play with. Mystic Ring builds into Demonic Grip and Hasten Ring, 1,300 gold, 40 magical power, and 20% attack speed. Enchanted Ring now builds into Telekines and Cyclopean. Its new passive is your next base attack deals an additional 5+3 per level magic damage. This effect can only occur once every 8 seconds, reduced by 2 seconds for each successful basic attack on enemy god. Increase cost, now 1,400 gold, and decrease the magical power. I think this is going to feel good. I think this is really, really wordy for one of these tier 2 passives, and we're going to run into that a little bit here following these magical items. But I do think building into rings, this feels better, and I like that. So Telekine, Cyclopean, get a nice little curve into these items. And I really think a lot of the tier 2 items are going to feel better. Like their curve into the tier 3 should feel better now. Book of Souls now builds into Soul Reaver and Polynomicon. Its passive is you gain a stack each time you damage an enemy god with an ability or basic attack. At 4 stacks, your next ability or basic attack deals 20 plus 4 per level magic damage. Increase the mana to 150. Book of Souls is going to be feeling a lot better. And I think book build with Curse Weaver is going to be feeling better in general, so I think these changes are really, really good for the books. Book of Secrets now builds in Tablet of Destinies and Book of Thoth. Its passive, each time you damage an enemy god with an ability, gain a stack. Each stack grants nothing, but when you upgrade this item, these stacks transfer to the upgraded item. You may only gain 1 stack every 4 seconds and can only gain stacks once per god ability hit, max 50 stacks. 1,200 gold, 40 magic powder, 200 mana. So it's going to curve that building in those stacked items a lot faster. I think that's going to feel real, real nice for mages. Book of Thoth, reduce the stack count from 100 to 50. Increase the damage required per stack from 450 to 900. Increase mana per stack from 6 to 12. Sorcerer's Staff, new passive. On leveling up, heal 10% of your maximum health and mana over 3 seconds. Decrease the cost of to 1,300 gold. This is a kind of a cool passive because you don't really expect this. But like, cool, if I level up, I get 10% of my health and mana back over 3 seconds. Like, you can't really plan that too well, but like if you were able to level up during a fight and that saved your life, that's going to feel really, really cool. Enchanted Spear, new passive. On damaging an enemy god once per ability hit. Gain 2 magical pin for 10 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. They decrease the gold to 1,350 and decrease the magical power to 45. Restored Artifact has a new passive. On damaging enemy god once per ability, restore 1% of your maximum mana. Let's talk about some defensive items. Gem of Fate decreased the cost to 750 gold. Whew. Knight's Shield decreased the cost to 1,500 gold. Apprentice Staff decreased the cost to 1,500. Hone Edge 1,500. Erendite decreased cost to 2,400. So just nice little 100 off all those items. Shade Stone now builds into Erosion and Abyssal Stone. They decreased the cost to 1,250, decreased the physical prots and magical prots to 20, and increased the health to 150. Enchanted Stone now builds into Erosion and Abyssal Stone. They're going to decrease the cost to 1,250. They have the same thing for both of these. That's not right. This builds into the other side. That can't be right. Anyways, Emerald Mail, new passive, getting an assist on enemy god or minion kill, grants 2 protections for 5 seconds, max 5 stacks. Increase the cost to 1,350. Emerald Talisman decreased the cost to 1,250. Defender Blade builds into Relic Dagger and Lotus Sickle. This gives 1,350 gold, or cost 1,350 gold, 150 health, 5% movement speed, 10% cooldown reduction. This is a really cracked tier 2 item. Like, this is really, really good. Lotus Sickle is going to get increased Fizz Prots to 25. Cursed Blade, new passive. Enemy gods hit by your basic attacks have 20% reduced healing for 5 seconds. Yo, auto attackers, we might be getting to a good version of Toxic Blade slowly but surely. Cursed Blade looking kind of nice. Silver Talisman now builds into Pestilence. New passive, enemy gods within 55 units have their healing reduced by 15%. This effect does not stack with similar auras. Renewing Talisman builds into Absolution, Heart Ward, and Talisman of Energy. Its passive is gain a stack each time you damage or damage an enemy god once per ability. Upon each 5 stacks, losing all stacks to restore 100 mana in a 40-unit radius around you. That's kind of cracked. 1,250 gold, 35 magical prots, 150 health. Spellbound Krasari now builds into Oni Hunter's Garb and Genji's. New passive, when you're hit by an enemy that deals magical damage, gain 5% magical damage mitigation for 5 seconds. It has an internal cooldown of 12 seconds and increased the MP5 to 20. Daimo's Kasari, holy smokes, I can't talk. Builds into Void Tomorrow and Shogun's Kasari. Passive, for each enemy god within 55 units of you, reduce all enemy gods' magical protections by 4. For each ally within 55 units, you increase ally gods' attack speed by 5%. 1,300 gold, 30 magical prots, 15 MP5. This is kind of an insane tier 2. You're going to get magical prots and give attack speed. Yo, that's kind of nice. Silver Breastplate now builds into Breastplate of Regrowth and Breastplate of Valor. They are going to increase the cost of 1,200 gold, decrease the physical prots to 25, but added 10% cooldown reduction. These items getting like earlier CDR are going to feel really, really, really nice in these tier 2 slots. Breastplate of Regrowth increased the physical prots to 50. Sturdy Breastplate now builds into Spectral Armor and Contagion. It's going to be 10 and 50 gold, 35 prots, 100 health, 100 HP 5. Now, let's talk about what I call the travesty of the changes here. It starts with Spectral. They removed the mana, removed the MP5, increased the health to 250, so got 100 extra health and added 20 HP 5. Contagion, removed the mana, removed the MP5, increased the health from 100 to 200, added 25 HP 5. I just worry that removing the mana and MP5 from these might be catastrophic. I don't feel good about this. This change, out of all the changes in this patch, this is the one that concerns me the most. Spectral, which I already think is a niche and sort of bad item, and Contagion, which I've really been enjoying building with Tainted Steel and Curse Weaver, getting this nerf, it just really feels bad. I'm curious to see if these are built as often. Waiting for some feedback on those for sure. These 2 changes are the ones I'm most concerned about in the sense of I think feels bad man type of deal. Spike Shield builds into Gladiator Shield and Void Shield, 1,400 gold, 30 prots, 100 health, 15 HP 5. Tower Shield now builds into Phalanx and Berserker Shield. Each second you're in God combat, gain 1% attack speed for 5 seconds, max 10 stacks. Increase the gold to 1,200 in cost. Decrease physical prots to 25. Decreased HP 5 to 10. Steel Mail now builds into Mystical Mail. It deals 15 magical damage per second to all enemies within 25 units of you. Shoutouts to Steel Mail, really trying to be out here. Bronze Mail builds into Emperor's Armor, Sovereignty, and Midgardian Mail. Its passive is every 4th basic attack you are damaged by grants you a 75 health shield and lasts for 5 seconds or until destroyed. 1,250 gold in cost, 20 physical prots, 150 health. Cloak of Concentration. New passive, when you are hit by a hard crowd control, steal 10 protections from the enemy gods within 20 units for 5 seconds, internal cooldown of 5 seconds, decreased cost of 1,400, decreased cooldown to 5%. I like this. You're stealing protections from the enemy, and it's all enemy gods within 20 units of you. This could like nice little swing in a team fight early on. I like this. Mantle of Discord decreased the cost to 2650. Now let's talk about god changes, because there are some sick god changes in this patch. I will say there's only one nerf, and it's Vulcan, and he needed it, okay? Because his turret started proccing items, and you all have been in those queues. Vulcan's been running it, okay? So Backfire increased the cooldown. Now it's going to be 9 seconds scaling to 7 seconds. And Inferno Cannon decreased the damage. Now going to be 45 to 145. And they're going to increase the cooldown by 10 seconds. Sorry, not 10 seconds, by 2 seconds. Now going to be 12. I think these two changes are going to be really good for Vulcan. Now let's talk about buffs. Cupid, my homie, increased basic attack power to 38. Increased basic attack power per level by 2.5. Instead of 2.3. His Heart Bomb is going to get decreased mana cost, now scaling 60 to 80. And Flutter, his new effect on cast, double the attack speed gained from this ability for 4 seconds. Cupid might be back, baby, and I'm so excited. I love playing Cupid. I don't know why. He was like the first hunter I picked up and thoroughly enjoyed playing. You can heal your allies. You have a really good dash that gave you double attack speed back in the day. And then you have Heart Bomb that gives a stun. You have a giant AoE ult. I just really like it. I'm excited to see him played. Dons and Burrow also needed some buffs, and he is getting them. Oh my, so many. Fool's Gold increased the damage, now scales 95 to 295. Increase the explosion damage, now scale is 40 to 140. Alluring Spirits increased the healing, now scales 30 to 130. They decreased the cooldown starting at 14 seconds, now going down to 12. And Uproarious Rocket increased the explosion damage from 50 to 75% on the initial hit. Sign me up. 2 of my favorite gods getting buffed in the same patch. Couldn't be me. Oh, wait, you're right, because they're buffing Apollo too. Apollo, so beautiful, decreased the mana cost from 60 scaling to 80. Serenade decreased the cooldown from 15 scaling to 13. Decreased the mana cost from 75 to 60. And the moves increased the buff duration to 5 seconds. All right, there are 3 hunters here, Cupid, Donza, and Apollo. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of. And all of these were really good changes for those gods. I think they hadn't been really in the meta. They weren't so far out of it, like so far gone, but now I think they're very much playable. Baron Samedi increased the base health from 532 to 600. Vivid Gaze increased double hit damage from 15% to 25%. And Wrap It Up decreased the slow duration, now 1.5 seconds, increased the root duration to 1 second. I think Baron's going to be feeling a lot better. I think this is a good change for Baron. I think these are like quality of life changes for him. I'm excited. Poseidon getting some ADC-esque buffs here. Increases basic attack speed to 0.95. Trident increase attack speed, now scales 10 to 20%. Whirlpool increase the damage scaling per tick to 20%. And Release the Kraken increase the damage scaling on the center of the ultimate to 55%, was 45. Poseidon ADC might be back, baby. Scylla, Sikkim. I might take back my Spectral can change. Maybe Scylla didn't need to get this buffed. Okay, just saying, maybe she didn't need to get this buffed. Sikkim decreased the mana cost, now we 60 scaling to 80. Crush increased the damage to minions to 30%, and Sentinel increased the cast range from 65 to 70 at all ranks. Increased the MP5, now scaling 8 to 16. Scylla's gonna be good, y'all. It's just the thing. Freya increased base health to 610. Banish decreased the cooldown, now scaling 16 to 14 seconds. I could be okay not seeing Freya buffed, but it's all right. Hell getting buffed. I think Hell kind of needed it. Maybe I'm going to misspeak and like regret that and Caster's curse this in a few minutes, but Hell, Inspire, and Repulse increase the heal, scaling 7 to 15, now 10 to 18 plus 1 per level, and increase the self-heal per level to 6. Switch stances increase the radius from 30 to 55, and new effect also grants 10, scaling to 30 physical power to allies. I actually like that change a lot. Fenrir, Brutalize now deals 75% of the damage in the AoE. Kleena, Phantasmal increased the buff duration to 6 seconds. It decreased the cooldown to 12 seconds. And Banshee's Wail increased scream damage to 45% scaling. Ardeo getting some buffs, and she might be back. Energy Surge and Maul Prey increased the heal, scaling 40 to 200 now, and decreased the cooldown to 12 seconds. Maul Prey decreased the cooldown to 12 seconds. Life Tap and increased the heal per hit, 10 scaling to 30, increased damage scaling per hit to 15%, and shifted mana cost, now 55 at all ranks. Heavy Charge increased the damage scaling from 50 to 55% and shifted the mana cost to 55 at all ranks. Sylvanas getting some love, increased his health per level to 100, base physical prots to 30, and increased physical prots per level to 3.7. Amaterasu getting a bevy of buffs as well. Another god I really, really like this patch that's getting buffed. Increased her physical basic attack power per level to 2.2. Divine Presence increased the heal per tick, now scaling 15 to 55. That's a very big buff. Glorious Change decreased mana cost to 60 at all ranks, and Dazzling Offense decreased the cooldown, now scaling 90 down to 70. Horus, Protective Surge increased the buff duration from 3 to 5 seconds, and To the Skies decreased the cooldown to 90 seconds. Horus is going to be taking people all across the map. And then some quality of life changes. Bacchus is going to be able to regurgitate at his projectile speed at 15% faster. Yu Huang is going to get a smoother firing experience for dueling dragons. Kali's going to be able to mark for death at any time, or any god she wants when she goes to base. But it's going to decrease physical pin by 5 and decrease kill and assist gold to 20% now. And Nimble Strike has a new effect that when Kali leaps on an enemy, the lowest current health god is marked automatically. And the healing effect of this ability has been adjusted to from 15% of the target's missing health to 20, scaling to 100 plus 10% of the target's missing health. Kerberos, Soul Explosion improved the fire and post-fire timings for a more smooth firing experience. In Stygian Torment, Kerberos is no longer crippled or slowed during this ability. His ult's going to go hard. Kerberos finally got the buff he needed, I think. I've talked a lot about these two abilities on Kerberos and why he isn't played, and I think this might bring him to the forefront. Atlas, Unburden, Atlas Enhanced Basic Attack, now procs basic attack item effects for 50% of the damage and healing. So let's talk about some ability procs that are going to be happening now. Cthulhu, Chernobog, Pele, Mammon, Brigitte, and Jibalancle are going to be able to have abilities that proc item effects. And the following abilities can now be fired while targeting close or inside of a wall. Scotty's Permafrost, Poseidon's Release the Kraken, Bakasura's Regurgitate, Sylvanas' Basic Attacks, Ishtar's Strike Shot, Jingwei's Persistent Gust, Muzenkob's Honey, Freya's Banish, and Ymir's Ice Wall. That's just a huge quality of life change that's going to feel really, really, really good. Overall, I think this is a good patch. I think this combined with the 9.5 reverts, it's going to go hard. I think Smite's going to be really crazy come Tuesday. I'm looking forward to it. I think there's a lot of great changes here. The tier 2 item, like curving that power spike to feel even better for everybody, I think just is a good change. And we'll just have to see how it plays out. This was a longer patch notes breakdown, so I hope you all enjoyed it. I tried to go a little bit more in depth in some areas. If that's something you enjoyed, let me know in the comments below. Make sure to check out everything here on YouTube. Check out everything on Twitch. And I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.